He's speaking live now at the State Armory.
Everyone ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First and foremost, we're urging people to stay off the roads. We're starting to see a little pickup of people wanting to get in roads, but I got to tell you, if you're coming out of your driveway and you don't have a four-wheel drive that's really good with good tires, you're probably going to get stuck. And the number of cars that are stuck, for instance, in Hartford and surrounding communities is quite remarkable. Although my favorite stuck vehicle was a small plow, a commercial plow, where he got stuck, and so he went in the back of his truck and got his snowblower out and started moving the snow around. So he was prepared. So, but most people aren't. So we're urging people to stay off the roads. Let us do our job. Let us clean the roads. We're doing a remarkable job on the major roads, the highways. We want to work with on some of the secondary state roads. Obviously, we're waiting for communities to catch up on local roads. They have a lot more mileage to take care of. We will. I want to thank everyone for heeding our warnings. Those of you who are watching this or will see this report, thank you for staying home. It's a great day to share recipes on the internet. Actually, I wish I was home cooking. But please stay home. I want to thank all the state personnel for doing a remarkable job. I had the occasion to visit one of our garages out in Wethersfield where everyone was working. They're actually turning around minor problems with trucks in the 15 to 1/2 hour time frame, which I find to be remarkable. A couple of other updates. We have a partial building collapse in Norwich. No injuries. Reminds us that if you have the ability to pull some of the snow off your own personal residence, it's probably a good thing to do. And also to make sure that drains are working. If you have a flat roof and you've experienced any mixed precipitation, that stuff can collect. So if you have access to do that, go ahead and do it. A couple of other things. A special note, side-vented hot water systems or side-vented furnaces, usually gas variety. Make sure that there is no blockage around that venting. We believe that we have reports of that having happened, no injuries, but obviously what that can cause is fumes to back up into the house, particularly if these are older systems and don't have automatic shutoffs or people don't have appropriate warning devices. So anyone who's getting this report and you have a side-vented system, please go out and make sure it's clear. A couple of other quick notes. CL&P reports about 2,800 outages, remarkably low. I got a report earlier in the day about Massachusetts where they were up at 67,000. 2,800. In the meantime, we have restored, CL&P has restored power to 2,900 people since the inception of this storm, so they're doing a remarkable job. UI is not experiencing any large-scale outages. And another note, exit 18, 19, 20, where we had seen a large blockage in the roadway, truck mishap that caused a lot of blockage. That has now been cleared, and that traffic is, in fact, moving as we speak. We were able to pull that up on the screen. All in all, things are going remarkably well, all of which is because of the hard work of the Lieutenant Governor, I might add. So any questions?
Governor, what did you learn on your visit to the Public Works garage in Wethersfield about how the equipment was holding up today?
It's actually holding up remarkably well. Of course, we're early in the winter season, and this is the type of storm that's going to test our preparedness and that equipment. The longer you use a hydraulic system and put a lot of stress on it, the more likely it is to have a rupture. So a lot of the things we were seeing earlier in the day were minor ruptures and windshield wipers. We can expect as this situation goes on a little bit longer that we'll see some more serious difficulties. One other note, I should have started with this. This system seems to have stalled a little bit off of Cape Cod, so we are actually seeing snowfall linger longer than we might have predicted when we started to see clearing take place down in the Greenwich, Stamford, Darien area. We had hoped that that would rapidly progress through the state. That has not happened, and that is as a result of a stalling off of Cape Cod of this system. So it's kind of standing in place. That reasonably predicts some areas will get upwards of 28 to 32 inches of snow.
Is there any guidance for other state employees who come on the next? When is the next shift?
We discussed that. The vast majority of employees on the next shift are, in fact, essential employees. There's very few that are in a support role. So
it's essentially the people who work the regular business day have been off, but
yes,
others are on.
Correct. Yeah. And obviously, if people have local problems, then there are they can act accordingly under their union contract.
You've made clear that safety is the priority, but do you have any information about the cost of the storm? Any ballpark numbers?
No, I haven't. We're going to do an update. If anyone pulls those numbers together, I'll share them with you. I think honestly, we're 24 to 48 hours away from that. There's reason to believe that with this record-breaking 24-hour snowstorm that we and accumulation, that we may qualify for some level of reimbursement from the federal government. We are tracking that. We are looking at our figures on a community-by-community, region-by-region basis to see whether we'll meet that threshold. So there may be light at the end of that tunnel. We're still in the position where we're simply trying to make sure that people are safe and that we can get commerce up and running as rapidly as possible.
I think Mayor Boughton declared some kind of an emergency, some level of emergency in Danbury. Any other communities that you know of?
I think I said this morning, about 8 or 9 local EEOCs had opened. I know a number of towns had tripped. I think every town that had snow emergency routes has triggered those routes, which is the rough equivalent of a snow emergency in those communities. And for instance, as Mayor of Stamford, any time that we could reasonably project 6 inches or more, we did that. I think we know that we've had 6 inches or more throughout the state.
And what are your latest numbers on electric outages again?
There were 2,800 CL&P being experienced. We've got to give them credit for having reconnected 2,900 individuals or homes in the interim. UI had exactly 2 outages, but I'm not sure what their record is getting people connected. So we are, not informally, but without certification, just to give you some numbers. We had reports of 28 inches in Roxbury, 27 inches in Manchester, North Canaan 22 inches, Colchester 24, Wolcott 22, Lisbon 14, Ridgefield 25, Bristol 25, Brookfield 22, Rocky Hill 27, Southbury 26, Seymour 20, Newtown 29, which seems to have the record at the moment, Danbury 24 in reference to Mayor Boughton, Westport down at 19, and North Haven 27. Somehow they didn't give me a report on Stamford.
We'll get right on that. But with all of that snow, it's going to take a long time to clean up.
It's going to take a long time to clean up, but I think that we have a long time between now and tomorrow, and we're going to. Our goal is to get back to normalcy as rapidly as we can, both for our own workforce, but to understand that this has tremendous impact on commerce, and this is not a time that we want to be responsible for any delays that we can otherwise help the communities avoid.
Governor, despite yesterday's warning, there are a lot of tractor trailers that we saw on the road. How big a problem did they pose today?
Actually, they were very good. I want to give the trucking industry a really high mark. At a place like this 18, 19, 20 backlog, you saw a lot of trucks lined up. That's because, first of all, there weren't very many passenger vehicles, so they were all on top of one another. But even that terrible backlog that we saw was a fraction of what it would have been on a normal day. So people are actually heeding warnings. And Connecticut I don't know whether this is good, is getting mentioned nationwide for the amount of snowfall we're experiencing. And given all of that, I want to thank that industry, trucking industry. I want to thank people for staying off the roads. I urge them to stay off the roads. You know, as I said earlier, this is a great day to be making grilled cheese sandwiches, and Campbell's tomato soup is a good combination. I recommend that to everybody. Let's try to stay off the roads.